Great. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this exciting panel discussion on the retail industry. It's truly a pleasure to have each one of you here, and I trust you all are having a wonderful day. Today, we have a very interesting topic: retail's digital transformation, hyper personalizing in store experiences. We'll discuss in detail about the same throughout our webinar. But before that, let me begin by introducing myself and AI CoreSpot to you. I am Nitin Naveen, Vice President of Innovation and Strategy at AI CoreSpot. With over a couple of decades of experience in consulting firms specializing in emerging technologies, I feel fortunate to consistently engage with global leaders, stakeholders, and innovators who are driving positive change. Joining me today are a few of my colleagues, Arvind and Archana, and in the back end, we have Naveen, who will be infusing energy to this event. A big applause for their dedication in making efforts to make this gathering a great one. Some facts about AI Course Party, which I wanted to bring forward in this forum to all of you. It was founded over 3 years ago and is meant to be a source of inspiration in the tech landscape, focusing on great and emerging technologies such as AI, ML, robotics, IoT, and so on. Our webinars serve as a platform to share the latest advancements in these fields, providing fresh insights every month as we continue to gain momentum. We aim to be the leading AI-driven community worldwide, fostering collaboration and growth among like-minded individuals. We are committed to curating industry-backed webinars and hybrid events, leveraging insights from industry leaders, subject matter experts, and all our trusted partners to deliver credible and valuable content. Additionally, our content is meticulously crafted across various digital platforms, which includes blogs, videos, podcasts, and monthly newsletters to keep our audience informed and engaged. Bringing back the attention to today's webinar, for which you all are here for, the topic is customer-centric retail, a digital frontier of personalized shopping. Brace yourself for an enlightening discussion on hyper-personalization. We are also covering improving customer engagements, obstacles to digital transformation, what is the future scope in the retail space, and so on, which is within the realm of retail industry. Our panel of experts is poised to share invaluable insights and engage in thought-provoking discussions that promises to leave a lasting impact. Before we delve into the conversation, we extend gratitude to all our community partners. It includes 4 great companies. Let me introduce them. It's Fisker, InfoVision, Academy Sports Outdoors, and Yum Brands. Their invaluable contributions have been instrumental in making today's webinar possible. And of course, a heartfelt thank to all of you attendees. Your presence and participations are deeply appreciated from our side. As we embark on this journey together, our primary goal is to equip with invaluable insights and facilitate meaningful conversations. So whether you walk away with some innovative ideas or forge new connections, your engagement is testament to our collective success. Without further delay, let's introduce our esteemed speakers for today's session. Our first esteemed speaker is Saidulu Kolasani. He is the Senior Vice President of Enterprise Digital and Data Transformation and Operations, Infrastructure, Cybersecurity at Fisker. Our second esteemed speaker is Amin Ayad, who is Head of Retail Engineering and Process Improvement at Academy Sports Outdoors. Our third esteemed speaker is Shilpi Sharma. She is Chief Strategy Officer at Yum Brands. And our fourth esteemed speaker and moderator for today's event is Hemant Kumar, who is AVP Digital Innovation Retail, and he's at InfoVision. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. The views shared by speakers are their personal ones and not necessarily reflect of their affiliate organizations. So let me hand over the stage to Hemant to begin this exciting panel discussion. Over to you, Hemant.
Hey, Nathan. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, wherever, whichever part of the world you are on. Thanks for joining. So myself, Hemant, I'm excited to be a part of this great panel discussion today, which is a great topic that's on the retail digital transformation and especially the hyper-personalization of a store experience, right? How do we hyper-personalize a store experience? And I have great leaders joining with me on this panel, Amin, Shilpi, and Saidalu. So let's all get started with a quick round of introduction, maybe like a 2-minute overview of a quick background. So please, Amin, we'll get started with you first.
Well, thank you. And thank you for the invitation. Excited to be with you today. I have been in the retail industry for the past 25 years with major retailers, Walmart, the Home Depot, Sears, Bed Bath& and Beyond, and now Academy Sports plus Outdoors. In addition to that, I teach organizational effectiveness at the doctoral level at Colorado Tech University, MBA at Bellevue University. I do have three textbooks that already written. One of them is being taught at MBA class, and I'm excited to be here today to share some of these views with you. Back to you, Hannah.
Thanks again. A quick and an impressive background. Now over to you, Saidalu.
Thank you, Amin, and thank you, Hemant. Myself, Saidulu Kolsani, I'm the Senior Vice President of Enterprise and Digital Transformation Operations at Fisker Group, Inc. I'm responsible for transforming Fisker into more digital native and making sure our business is leaning on the data and data-driven decisions and hyper-personalizations, etc. I have 2 decades of retail and CPG experience. So I transformed legacy companies into platform companies and also building these data platforms, data fabric layers, and enabling the hyper personalization for our customers, vendors, and dealers. So, like I mean, I also have written a few research papers and journals, and they are getting published in Google Scholars and Scupa, etc. And I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for meeting everyone.
Thank you, Saidalu. What a background. Thank you. And over to you, Shilpi.
Hey everyone, this is Shilpi Sharma. I'm not as, a long-term retail expert as my esteemed panelist is, but my experience have been across the board because I was a consultant to start with. Started my journey as a software engineer and then became a management consultant. Most of my life experience as part of consultant comes from the tech companies, but then I decided to start my own company in 2013, and that was all about marketing analytics, which was working with retailers like Macy's, Target, and see all the top CPGs. Eventually, the company got acquired by Yum Brands in 2021, and now I'm part of the digital and tech team here. And my day job is to influence 100 plus executives across all the three brands globally in helping them build digital brand and become more data driven. So my team is responsible bringing the intelligence in the whole tech stack at Yum Brands. Excited to be
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shilpi. What a diversified background. I know, like, you have been working with different industries and you're well aware of the best practices across each of these, right? And now we are into the retail space. Thank you. So about myself, everyone, like myself, Hemant, I had the retail practice for InfoVision. I've been with InfoVision for close to 6 years, and with over 17 years of experience, I've spent most of the time in retail, doing a lot of transformation work, been a part of many innovation journeys in retail. That's about me. I'm based out of Dallas, Texas, and glad to moderate the session with great leaders like Shilpi, Amin, and Saidul. So moving on to today's discussion, right, which is retail's digital transformation, hyper personalizing the in-store experience. So today we are in the most competitive world where consumers have way too many options and retailers going through immense pressure in terms of with their peers as well as with the online retail space. And everyone is looking at driving good foot traffic into their stores. How do they keep their consumers engaged with the brand when they are there, and how better they can improvise the overall experience, end of the day make a good improvement in the basket size, right, and have a good customer loyalty. That's the world we are living in. And we are also seeing a lot of Gen Z's and millennials spending time inside the stores, especially when they have the right experience. So that's what the research says, and even with the couple of journeys we have been a part of, that's the learning we even have. Having said that, moving into today's topic, Before even we get into the hyper personalization part, let's take a minute to talk about the retail's digital transformation, right? When a retailer wants to do something on the digital transformation, what are the kind of challenges from an organizational perspective that they go through? So I would want to hear from Amin on, like, your thoughts and your experience on how you see these retailers are, like, overcoming these challenges.
Great question. Thank you for that. And really, when you think about digital transformation and retail, probably the first thing that comes to mind is the existing infrastructure and system being totally outdated and incompatible with whatever transformation the organization is taking. Um, then, after you deal with this technical issue, you start looking into transformation means change. And whenever you are introducing change to organization, typically there is resistance to change. So dealing with this resistance become another obstacle organization face. Often digital transformation or any other transformation requires a lot of collaboration within organization. So one of the obstacles that often you find is silos within organizations that prevent that collaboration. And then you start thinking about the resources. And when you think about the resources and the limited resources organizations have, you've got two elements here that are really critical. One is the talent that the organization have. That's the resource-based view of the organization. And then two, you have the budget constraints, what's available to the organization in order to make that journey. Then you get into really the customer and the employee privacy, security, data security issues that also prevent another big bucket of issues organization have to face with. One of the main obstacle is the misalignment between that transformation and the vision and the mission and the strategy of the organization. If these things are not really aligned, you will have a lot of issues as you go through the journey of transformation. And then last but not least is the culture. The culture of the organization, to what degree the organization culturally is ready to embrace that transformation. As Darker said, culture eats a strategy for breakfast. You may have the best technology, you may have the best of everything, you may have done fantastic work, but if culture is resisting to all of this, you'll find yourself in a lot of trouble. All of this combined falls under the umbrella of leadership. Now you're going to have that final pivotal element that necessary for any change, let alone transformation, which is leadership. These are the top things that really come to my mind from an organizational perspective.
Absolutely. I mean, like you nailed it, right? Like when it comes to the organizational challenges, cultural aspect is important, right? Whenever there is this transformation journey, the resistance to the change. So I'm more interested in understanding how do you handle such challenges? I mean, like out of your experience, right? End of the day, we all need to provide what our end consumers want when it comes to retail, right? So, but when there is such resistance, and it could be an internal or external factor. So how have you like handled situations like that? Like a quick inputs would help here.
So that's another great question. And it depends because different organizations have different depth of one of these elements. So the first is to conduct what I would call is the analysis, the internal analysis of the organization to understand the specific gap between where you are and where you are going. So you understand that. Then the next piece of the puzzle is absolute transparency and speaking the language of each silo in the organization. With finance, you have to go there with your dollar glasses in your eye and talk to them in their language. With operations, you have to talk the operational language. And so in other words, effective communication and transparency are the first vehicle after you conduct your internal analysis and fully understand the gap between where you are and where you're going. understand the misalignments within the organization, understand your customers and your employees. I can recall a situation that whether I personally encountered it or I read about it, about an organization that invested in top technology, but the employees didn't know how to use this technology. The organization ended up shooting itself in the foot because all of these investments did not deliver. So now you have the chief finance officer unhappy, and you've got the human resource officer resisting. You got a whole negative situation that anyone who really works within these things. Analysis, get your facts right, have a clear and open communication, have a good roadmap, have a good plan. And for that, leadership gets back into the forefronts. You need to be trusted within the organization. You need to have that presence within the organization. Or if you really don't have it, try to bring subject matter expert to the table. There are tons of consultants out there who could sit down with the CEO, the chief information officer, chief operating officer, and in collaboration with the internal team of the organization, may identify and overcome some of these obstacles.
Absolutely. I mean, that helps. You have given good insights on how you handle that situation, especially too many people and too many stakeholders to convince. And I know it's a journey. It's not that easy. So talking a bit about the new omni-channel world, right? Like where we have multiple channels where the retail brands can engage with the customers. So Saidulu, I want to hear from you on how do we bring in that seamless experience between these channels? So out of your experience, what have you seen? And I would want to hear from you on that.
Sure, Hemant. And I want to add one more point on what Amin said. Again, great thoughts. Thank you for sharing your experience there. So in my sense, the transformation is nothing but identifying the business problem and rallying people behind that problem to solve. So how do you bring the people, process, and technology together so that we create that momentum and then go behind it and solve it? And also transformation, there is no end date. A lot of companies and executives think there is an end date for the transformation. Yeah, we spent X millions of dollars. When it is going to finish? There is no end. You need to continuously reinvent the experience and modernize, simplify, and new capabilities in ever-evolving market. So coming to the omni-channel means, there are so many choice of channels for the customers to come and interact us as a brand. So there are digital, there are brick and mortar stores, there are social channels. How do you enable the seamless and integrated shopping experience across these channels? Okay, so the customer can start his journey in one channel and then finish can in another channel. How do we make sure the data that whatever he is seeing, irrespective of channel of his choice, is consistent? So it could be inventory management, it could be promotions, it could be the pricing, and also buy online, pick up in the store, and ship it to the store. How do you create this omni-channel experience, and then so that the customer feels, yes, I'm seeing the consistent information, I'm getting the consistent experience, wow experience, irrespective of whatever channel I'm going in, and then having unlimited options to interact with us as a brand, so that these customers can transit effortlessly between digital, physical, and social media, etc.
No, absolutely, Saidulu. That's one of the key aspects of personalization, right? So when it comes to omni-channel, how do we leverage the data from each of these channels? Like the experience, right? This customer might start his experience on a web, then he gets into the mobile app, try to find the nearest store, and then he gets into the store eventually. And overall, it's just one customer, and you have enough data on what this person has searched in the past or what he has bought in the past, and now you have a high chance of converting him into a potential customer when he is actually inside your store, right? So I think you gave us very good insights on how situations are being handled in this new omni-channel world. So let's complicate this topic a bit more. So Shilpi, like I would want to hear from you whenever there is this portfolio of brands, right? Till now we've been talking about one customer and one retailer. And when you have multiple brands within retail, and you know well that a particular customer has engaged with the so and so brand, and then he gets into the other brand. So how do you ensure that leveraging his past experiences, and how do you engage him across the other channels that you see, Shilpi?
Oh, very
It
good
could be
question.
now, yeah.
Yeah, Hemant, I think this touches everything what you've asked, Amin and Saidalu. So it's like what they were talking about, complications to the power n, because depending on how many brands you have, you're literally bringing that many companies together, because brands, though they're part of a portfolio, but they generally have their own culture, their own people, process, and tech. So when it comes to thinking about cross brand, it's a journey, right? It's not something that, like Saidli said, it's not a project with an end date. It's, first of all, it's like three different brands might have three different visions. One brand might have been targeting Gen Z, another brand is targeting families with kids, another brand targeting somebody else. So when it comes to thinking of omni-channel experiences, first and foremost is the data, which is the privacy first data, because that's one thing that you have to keep in mind when you are a brand portfolio of brands, that your consents don't transfer, right? If you have never been designed that way, if I'm giving my consent to brand A while brand B and brand C is a sister brand, I'm not giving consent to B and C, right? So when you start any transformation journey on omni-channel, the first thing is data, and your consumer has to be at the center of it. This safety, privacy, all of that doesn't come at end. That is the first thing you have to think about. That how you're going to think about that consumer, how the consents are going to go after. There are so many privacy regulations these days that you can't just simply take the data and then start mapping out an omni-channel journey, right? So that's first one. And then once you've figured that out, you have to, in your digital transformation, you have to have flexibility. You won't be able to build a platform which is same rules for all the brands, right? So you will have to give space to all the brands. All the brands might have a different value equation when they come to that platform which you're building, right? One brand is coming for just improving the productivity of their marketing operations. Another brand is coming because they have ton of data and they want to leverage that data and then really stitch the customer journey. So every brand is going to be different. Just keep that in mind, because if you're going to all the brands and saying standardize, it can be a nightmare. So you want to make sure that you want to keep their identity intact, keep your consumer's identity intact, and then still be able to build a transformation journey where things don't break and there is a lot more trust, which Amin was talking about. Like, the trust is very important in omni-channel consumer journeys across the brands, because there will always be a question: are you going to cannibalize my customer? Are you going to take my customer? Are you going to market my customer? So, those journeys needs to be taught. And make sure you tell your stakeholders that, hey, I don't have all the answers. So build that trust and say, hey, I don't have all the answers. Let's just go through the journey and start solving one thing at a time. Have a proper data governance team. It's very, very important, because that's one thing I've seen in my transformation journey, that data governance is like center of your transformation journey, and everybody needs to trust that team, and that team kind of leads everything. So I can talk about this a whole day, but I'm going to shut up.
So that's very interesting that you spoke about the data piece here. Shilpi, like, I echo your thought here. We have all seen that, right? So for us, the data is the DNA. So whether it is a multiple single brand or multiple brand, or like, whatsoever. So when we talk about data, every retailer claims to have enough data, right? Especially with the consumer specific. And there is a billion-dollar question that raises when you have data: how consumable it is, because everyone is dealing through a lot of data challenges, right? Could it be data duplication, data redundancy, or data silos, right? We all have that. and everyone is trying to figure out ways to solve such problems leveraging the emerging tech. Could be AI, could be machine learning models. And end of the day, like if I'm going to ask you how many unique customers do you have, like not many of us have the right straightforward answers to it, right? That's a kind of a situation we are living in. And we're talking about personalization, right? Where how consumable is the data for me to provide the right recommendations or whatsoever, right? I want to know your thoughts, Shilpi, on like how have you handled such situations?
So again, I think it goes back to what is the value case of your transformation journey? Because you can go to 100 different directions, right? But you don't want to do that. So when you start any transformation journey, you should have some value cases in terms of where do you want to get the value out of this journey in short term, midterm, and long term. And that's where you will figure it out that what are some questions you want to answer in short term. And I think bringing that unique customer view, that's there are multiple ways you can go there, and I know Saidlu has some points there as well. Like CDP is one of that, right? You can bring your customer data platform, and then in this age and day, pretty much all the brands have some sort of a CDP going on. But when you are talking about cross brand journey, then you're talking about one giant CDP, which is cross brand, and you're bringing all of that together. So for that, again, it's a typical CDP cycle, and you need some sort of a CDP or metadata exercise where you can actually cross unify all your brands. You can identify and you can dedupe, and you can eventually, cross unify and say, Hemant goes to brand A and also brand B and also brand C. I'm not going to treat Hemant as three different customers. I'm going to start treating them now from one customer perspective, but I know which days Hemant consumes what, right? Once I know that journey, I think it's much easier for me to give them those experiences. But this is a very low hanging fruit in today's day and age, figuring it out your consumer journey. But I think the complexity comes after that once you have the data. I think the complexity come at ideation of campaigns. Like, how do you really go after a certain segment, and what kind of engagements you do, and how do you make sure you close the loop of your data, that once somebody has interacted on one of the channels with you, how are you using that data and measuring how your campaign went, right? What was the incremental lift? And next time, are you going to do the same thing, or are you going to differentiate differently? So I think collecting data is step zero to me. Like, and after that, the journey really starts. And that's where marketers needs to come, and, commercial planners need to be part of it, how the pricing of the product is happening, all the cross-functional, the integration is needed once the data is ready.
Got it. Thanks, Shilpi. And any thoughts on this, Amin and Saidul, when it comes to leveraging the customer data, like to personalize the experiences? You want to add on anything to what
Sure,
Shilpi had?
I can go, Hemant, and great addition, Shilpi. I fully agree with you. Now there is so much complexity of the social presence, digital presence, cookie IDs, and stores, and there are so many channels where customers can come and interact with us. As Shilpi mentioned, when the problem is going to be amplified when we take cross brands. So basically, how do you create the golden customer record of that customer so that we can uniquely identify as Hemant as a 1, 2, 3, 4? Okay, it does not matter whether he is watching an advertisement in the TV, browsing through a social media, clicking on something, an advertisement, or go to the brick and mortar store and buying a product, and the digital channels, and then clickstream data. How do you bring all these events together so that we can map it to his golden customer record, so that we can create some segmentation on the data, and some behavioral analysis, and some sentimental analysis? So from there, the data starts proving the magic, and then start showcasing how do I retain this customer long term, what he likes, what he dislikes, what he's browsing through. That's why when you are browsing through in your Chrome or somewhere, so something, it's immediately pops into your Facebook or Twitter, those advertisements, because they're tying back our interactions and then providing this hyper personalization and recommendations, so that those are all contextualized and with the right intent at the right time, which is very important. So to do that, you need to understand about the customer.
Thank you, Saidalu. And anything,
Oh,
like, please.
yeah, probably there is little to add directly to what Saidalu and Shelby have already said, but I will point out to one additional point. It's what's interesting, at one point, the business problem used to be we don't have enough information. And all of a sudden now, oh my God, we have too much information and we don't know what to pick from. And the reality is there is always a science and an art to solving such complex problems. And I just want to mention that in many cases, the art of solving these problems, the art of prioritization, not necessarily that financial aspect, the intuitive knowledge of those who are closer to the facts, that qualitative information that the data may not tell you, the story behind the data, the real context of the data. There is a lot of art that really need to be deployed. This art usually is created based on experience, deep understanding and communication. It's interesting for three strategists sitting on a table to go back, and I go and repeat what Shelby has just said about the trust. You know, when people trust you, they are going to tell you what the data doesn't tell you. There are things behind the data that there's nothing can tell you except that human person. For those who really interested, I have a paper about that, and it's criticizing even the science of Six Sigma and identifying certain root causes. So don't forget the intuition and the qualitative and the story behind the data, that sometimes a human who trusts you can tell you what the data will sink into it, spend tons of hours, and don't get to the root cause.
Got it. Yep.
Hey, and I would just add one thing here. What I wanted to highlight, that you can have all the data and you can have all the data science, right? It's like building algos is actually not that difficult these days. But the problem that you will see, the most time the challenges come in the last mile of delivering that experience, right? So a lot of time it's not a data and a data science problem. At the end of it, what Amin is saying, it's about that, right? Like we all are retail consumers. Like we might be building applications, but we all shop at one or other retailer. So so it's just one is how many different kind of experiences you want to give a retail consumer. You want to optimize that, because just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. And then also the last mile at enterprises is one of the most trickiest things. So algo might can give everything, but then you just have no ways to actually really make that application work at a one-on-one personalization at scale, because that's where everything breaks in the large organizations.
Absolutely, Shilpi. This makes me to think about something else, right? Let me take a step back. And is this personalized shopping experience a feasible strategy for every retailer? Because retail is robust, right? Like we cannot categorize the problem statements of each of these guys into one bucket, right? So in that world, probably I would want to hear from you on what could be done here, like when it comes to such a situation, right? When retail being robust, and is this personalized shopping experience, is that like a common thing that we can categorize across retail, or how do you see that as? I mean,
So another great question. And at the end, you have to understand your business model. And in the business model, how the business model operates, how the business model deliver a value to the customer. You're not just going out there and imitating everything everywhere in the world. Nobody even can do that. It is a question of, here is my business model, and here's what my customer wants, and who's my competition on this, and how am I going to beat the competition and or stay competitive in the marketplace. So that's one first thing. Don't go and chase every shiny object out there. The second quick thought I will add to this, because I worked at Walmart, everybody sometimes, people sometimes interest, oh my God, how did Walmart do it? Or they may say, you know what, Walmart has deep pocket. We can't do what they have done. And the reality is, when Walmart started, they were not big at all. And innovation and leveraging data, leveraging facts was among the very first thing that Sam Walton did without having deep pockets. In fact, the smaller you are, you have a strength that the large organization doesn't have. You don't have all these silos and all these people and all these complexities that we just spoken about. So you need to understand your strength, your weaknesses, the opportunities and the threats around you. And really, most importantly, what's your business model? Who's your real customer is? Do you want to be the every one customer as Amazon at one point wanted to be and succeeded? But they didn't start like that. Remember, they started selling books out of a basement. So don't limit your thinking. Don't be just constrained by these resources because you are small. You have an opportunity to beat the biggest organization by your energy, drive, creativity, innovation. And that's what I invite you to do. Understand where you are going and go after it with the old technology that's in the world out there.
Absolutely. I mean, like I echo your thought. And I also like recall an incident when you mentioned about Walmart, right? They did merge their grocery and retail platforms together like few years back. I think it was early 2018 or 2017 when they merged these two platforms. And they thought through a concept like, this one app, right? Why should a consumer have multiple apps for just one brand? It could be different products within Walmart, but end of day for Hemant or Shilpi or for Saidalu, Walmart is just a brand, right? And they need to have one platform where they can leverage the data on whatever the customer has done in the past and contextualize the experience. So I was just recalling that experience when you spoke about this Walmart example. And the other thought I have here is let's get into the how part of it, right? So Aidalu, when we are talking about this hyper personalization, I would want to hear from you on what does it actually means, right? And how do you achieve hyper personalization seamlessly? Are we leveraging emerging tech or data, or from an experience standpoint? I would want to hear from you on what do you think about achieving a seamless hyper personalized experience?
Absolutely. So, what is the basic definition of personalization? Means you should feel when you went to a particular brand, you should feel this, yes, this brand is meant for me. Yes, I can get what I want to, and then I should be able to find them easily, seamlessly, frictionlessly, and then I can find what I want, and the content and whatever they are providing is what I want to see it, and it is easy on my eyes, and then I would be able to purchase the transaction, finish the transaction, and then move on, and then I can repetitively go and buy it. So how do I do that? I want to know who the customer is, who that customer is, what he wants, what he likes, what he dislikes, where he is clicking, what he is clicking, how much time he is spending, and then what motivates him, how do I retain him, and then how do I create the stickiness. So when you create all these macroeconomic all these micro movements, and also knowing about the customer, and then you need to bring all this data, and then run some intelligence models on top of it, so that you can predict, and then you can enable the near real time and the contextualized recommendations. So it could be, how do you guide your business, your customer, to take the data driven decisions and contextualized and informed decisions, so that they would be able to take next best actions, so which is very important. So how do you guide your customer? Hey, now you browse this product, we inspired by your browsing history or purchasing history, you may like these products. How do you build the cross sell, upsell, and then increase the basket size? basket conversions. And also, not only that, how do you do the repetitive conversions through intelligent marketing? So these are all is possible once you start understanding your customer base, what they're liking, what they're expecting, and ensure you treat them how you want to be treated when you go yourself as a shopper to the other websites.
So great inputs, Saidul. When you touched upon this marketing aspect of it, right? For example, a customer like me or Shilpi, we are walking into one of the retail stores, right? You have the data about me, like my past experiences, right? When it comes to a web or mobile channel, it's a lot more easier, right? Like to let me know what I would like, what goes well with what, and make an informed decision. But when I'm actually inside your a retail outlet, and the propensity of converting me is very high since you already have me there. And how do you leverage, like, my historical data? Let it be my search history, or like, my purchase history, or what I like or what I don't like. How do you ensure that I get the right experience when I'm at your retail outlet, Saidul? I want to understand more from an in-store experience standpoint, right? How can we leverage the historical data to better personalize, like, the experience when a customer walks inside an outlet?
Yeah,
So
it's a
any
great
thoughts?
question, Hemant. S- I, as a shopper, when I go to any retail store, so I always compare the in-store price versus digital store. So
Exactly.
earlier we touched upon the omni-channel experience, but I don't want to name brands, but I see majority of the retailers, their in-store price is different than the digital price. They run different promotions in store, they run different promotions in digital. So I see myself, the digital has more offers and then the lesser price compared to in-store. It could be various reasons. I'm not going and touching about the lease, employee salaries, and all those things. But the moment you pick up your phone and then scan a product or search for a product, you know that you are at the store and then you are browsing through those catalog. Then you can tie back to your previous purchase history, browsing histories, and then start recommending, hey, you see, you browsed this product and then you checked the price. Maybe you may want to go and check this product. This is in the aisle 1 and then rack 2, so you can go and buy this product. So basically, how do you give that information on his fingertips and then enable the cross sell and upsell those capabilities? So there are multiple ways of doing it, not only browsing, scanning the product, and also when you go to the counter, so the counter also you can see that, hey, you bought these products earlier, so now you browse it through that. It's a physical recommendations as well. The salespeople are also giving, hey, there are certain products in the similar category, you may be interested in that. So this not only using AIML, and we are also leaning on people here.
Absolutely, Saidul. I get your thought completely here, and that is where all this proximity marketing kind of the contextualization comes in, right? So when I am within your store or within a close proximity of your store, you have all my data to drive me inside your store, and also get me the right set of recommendations, right? Those days are gone where you just send a random coupon and I, like, use it. Today, unless and until I get something which I really like or which is very specific to me, I don't even engage. So that's the world we are. And I think you brought in, like, the right thoughts out here. And Shilpi, and I mean, like, do you want to add on top of it? Like, when it comes to the in-store experiences, how are these contextualized recommendations or the marketing initiatives that are helping in bringing the right experience?
I think I'm good with what Sidley was talking about, so we can move on.
Absolutely. So, I mean, like, another thought I had for you was more towards the retailers, right? So, can a retailer be anything and everything for everyone? So that's what I keep thinking, right? Because from a consumer demand standpoint, like, there's a lot we see as a change in the consumer behavior. The expectations have gone into the new heights, especially the post-COVID world. So I want to hear from you your thoughts on how are retailers transforming the way they have been doing business with these situations out. I mean, okay, I think we had to.
There's some technical problems.
Okay, that's fine. So I think I'll keep this question, I'll open it up with Saidulu and Shilpi. When we talk about the changing consumer expectations and the demands, right? Like, do we really think that retailers should be looking at being one-stop solution for anything and everything that a consumer is looking at? So what are your thoughts on it, Saidulu and Shilpi? Because the demands have gone to the new heights, and what are retailers doing today to cope up with such demands?
It's a very broad question, actually, Hemant. So, like, it depends, right? Which
Mhm.
in that, like, retailer by itself, there are like 20 different type of retailers, right? A
Exactly.
food retailer is a different from a clothing retailer to someone who actually fulfills everything direct to customer versus store, right? So, what can you do is it's again aligned with what is your mission, what is your like the vision as a company, and if you're public versus private, it affects how you want to expand, right? So if you're a public company, there are a lot more expectations, and the stakeholders have been buying your stock for years, I believe, and then there is a certain chart of the path that is kind of defined, and people generally companies get whiplash if they try to expand too much. So coming back to question, can they be everything for the customers? I think depending on what you are. So if you're a food company and you think
Mhm.
your overarching mission is to give them X type of food, whatever food company, or if you're a healthy food company, fast food, restaurant, right? And if you think that that is what your company is delivering, it's about experiences or is it about the quality food, then there are a lot of verticals that you might have to get into. Like, for example, a company might say, hey, you know what, I'm a restaurant company. I might want to give how to book reservations, right? So
Mhm.
again, it depends on what are jobs to be done for your target consumer when you are giving that experience. And if you have gaps, it's your choice whether you want to give that service and the experience yourself, you want to partner, or you just don't want to do it. Like going back to Southwest as an example, right? Southwest, when it came in the airlines industry, it decided it doesn't want to do 20 different things that other airlines companies were doing. And they said Southwest means these are the three things you're going to get. And that's the
Exactly.
experience we are going to optimize. So it's totally up to the company, like whether they want to be everything for everyone or they want to just boutique, niche, or just play to their core values.
Absolutely, rightly said, Shilpi. Those are two sides of the world, right? There are few who are looking at things in their direction, and some are like still looking at being niche in what they have been doing. I think you nailed it. So again, the competition is something that is driving retailers to do that, right? Those days are gone where Walmarts were competing with Targets. Now Walmarts are competing with 7-Elevens, and dollar stores are competing with Walmart. So like that's the kind of a world we are living in today, where these retailers are transforming their businesses into the different modes. So you see a dollar store inside a Walmart. Like the very first thing you see, like when you walk into a Walmart, is a quick grab and go kind of a setup where where you find all this low hanging quick buy stuff where customers can walk in like and go out. And at the same time, like there are customers who would want to shop around the entire store to get what they actually want to. So I think you brought in an excellent thought in terms of depending on their business model and what they would want to do, these things happen. So one thing I would want to ask you is, Shilpi, when it comes to personalization, when do you think the retailers should think about personalization? Right. So whether it is like one-on-one or what was with like masses. So my question is more towards like uh, the scenario where exactly the retailers think that this is really pressing for them to personalize the experience.
Actually, Hemant, if you'll go and ask 20 retailers today what is personalization to them, you will get completely different definitions. So, having a loyalty program for a retailer can be personalization, right? As simple as that. They don't have any algo, they don't have any one-on-one intelligent conversation happening, but they can still think that they are personalizing because they understand their loyal customers. So to me, like any maturity framework, personalization also has a maturity journey, right? When it's you just have basic CRM, you have your loyalty, make sure those things are set up first before you are thinking about one-on-one personalization, because that's like a me too kind of a strategy that, oh, everybody's doing, I have to do it too. But I think there's steps to get there. And also,
Mhm.
what are you selling, right? That matters too, because not every product needs one-on-one personalization. So
Right.
so make sure your industry, your product fits into that one-on-one personalization journey, because there's no point. One-on-one personalization by itself, the tech stack changes every 18 months. The tech stack is changing. So if you are buying that tech stack and then providing one-on-one personalization, it can be a very expensive capex journey for you. But if you're building inside and you have your own data science team, it's still much easier to catch up. But again, not it's just hard to just reinvent yourself every 18 months. So when you get into those thoughts, I think you have to think about the people, process, tech, what Saidlu was talking about, right? Do you have people? Are you going to buy it, right? Then decide whether you want to get into it. Do you have the tech stack, which is extremely old? You might want to first fix that before you get into one-on-one personalization, because it is better to not give one-on-one personalization than giving a bad personalization experience. Because once you lose your customers, bringing the customer back, the customer
Exactly.
acquisition costs are almost 5x once you have actually given the bad experience to them. So it's not, again, like I said, it's not about tech. It's about holistic experience, and it's about also, should you do it? Does your product fits into that day-to-day life of consumer where they need personalization?
Got it. Got it. Since you touched upon this tech stack piece, Shilpi, like I have a follow-up question for you. Let's talk a bit about the large language models, right? And how is that helping you in driving this personalization? So I keep thinking, right? Like this is everyone talks about LLM, Gen AI, and I want to hear from you on your thoughts, like when it comes to the large language models, and how is that when it comes to application of these large language models into the personalization, and what are the like low hanging fruits that you would want to target?
So again, I think it's, if I'm thinking myself as a retailer, not attached to my company, LLMs right now today, it's just chatbots, right? But frankly speaking, the true value of LLMs is going to come when we can apply that learning on structured data. Right now, it's all unstructured data, right? So the true learning is going to be when enterprises have, what do they have? They have ton of data, right? And they have a lot of unstructured data, but they also have ton of structured data as well. So I see applications more when I can connect the LLMs on both type of data, and
Mhm.
then start doing overarching modeling on top of what I'm already doing. So I don't think LLMs will replace what I'm doing. It shouldn't, because what I'm doing is at a like the plumbing level, but LLMs can bring intelligence to first to the store employees, I believe, in any retail setup, then directly going to consumer, because again, the technology has not been vetted fully, right? So it'll again have its own maturity framework, and first it should go internally so that you can vet it, and then consumer facing, unless you're building a chatbot, which is a simple problem. You don't need LLM for that. You can just use any conversational chatbot from existing tech stack, and still it's going to work fine, right? So again, where you need a needle, do you really need, a big hacks? I don't know. Like I think LLMs for an enterprise conversation in a retail setting, uh, it's little bit more going to be retail operations oriented rather than consumer marketing. I would not put LLMs in consumer marketing today.
Absolutely, Shilpi. Any thoughts on this, Saidalu, when we talk about LLMs and Gen AI? So, uh, what are your thoughts and take on this?
Yeah, so I see typically these LLMs and the Gen AI are predominantly used in customer service. And so typically when you build a chat bot or a conversational bot, is in the back in the days, it was a it is as good as your APIs. If your APIs are good and data is consistent, it will be able to go back to your database, fetch the data, and giving it. Now the customer preferences are changing. They don't want to chat, they want to talk. And then not only talking, giving the non-contextualized answers, they want to contextualize answers. For example, like in the customer experience model, hey, I am going to return this product. Okay, I want to return this product, and then this product passed the cutoff date to return. What are the options that I have for me? So the API won't give those options because there are no predefined answer set up in the database. So, but whereas in the based on the past history, and then when you have these petabytes of data sitting in your system, you can write an LLM, large language models, which will go and then analyze your data and then give some intuitive answers to the customers or show some segues. And that is one use case. Another use case is the product search, right? So most of the search is the keyword based search. So for example, like if you go to Amazon, you can search, hey, I mean, you can specifically use the brand name or some keyword based search. But now the consumers are evolving. They want to search with by the voice. They want to say, hey, I have the oily skin, I'm going to Florida, and then can you suggest me some face creams which suits to my skin and the weather location where I am heading. So then you need to continuously understand these requirements, and then give some kind of the Gemini based search results by saying, hey, I'm glad you are going that location. Based on the customer interest, we can recommend these products for you. And then the conversation is going to go on. So it's all based on how you are giving that contextualized responses by understanding the customer intent right at that moment.
Absolutely, yes, Aidilu. Tying this into the store experience, right? When you or Shilpi or me, like when we walk into a store, and I'm just thinking about a situation where how interactive it would be if we can interact with a mobile app, like, through a voice conversation to get what we actually want. Today, like, the biggest challenge is like, you have to type a particular product and then get to know where the aisle is, and then you walk all the way to buy that. Instead, what if like you make that experience more interactive, right? And the bot knows you that, like, you are already there in a store, and it knows more about you. And what if it's able to like give you a contextual recommendation while you are like, you have your AirPods on, and when you do your shopping, how seamless it would be like when you interact with a bot and get to know more when it comes to the recommendations or the right set of the experience when it comes to the overall shopping. Maybe like that's the future of retail we are looking at, but yeah, but we all know that every customer wants to get there, right? So we have few questions from the audience, Saidulu and Shilpi, if you would want to take, right? So I have a very interesting question that talks about, like, how small retailers are competing with the larger corporations in terms of hyper personalization. Everyone wants to serve their customers better today, right? No matter whether you are a small mom and pop shop or you're a big brand like Walmart's or the Macy's of the world. At the end of the day, consumer is a consumer, right? Like we all want to have that right loyalty, right, from the customer. So, any thoughts on how these small retailers can compete with the larger brands when it comes to the hyper personalization?
So
I think I can.
I can
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about from my experience. I don't go to stores, frankly speaking. I have to like I have to like literally say that because I'm a big digital shopper, and
Mhm.
everything comes to my home, gets delivered. And my discovery of new retailers, which are mostly digital, is actually through Facebook. So I don't know the brands, but those brands are actually, they're finding me on based on what we were talking about, like, my intent, how I browse, where did I click, how much longer I was on that ad. I just discover all the new brands there, and most of the brands I interact with are D2C. So it's much
Mhm.
easier if you're smaller and you're pure D2C to compete with larger corporations. It's just bringing the phygital in this, like where you have digital and physical both. It's just hard. And US is if you look at US as a country, there is a lot more trend on D2C here. Same trend was in India. I know I'm talking about it because we all are Indians here, so we might know a little bit about what's going on there. But in India, the trend, what I'm seeing now, I have a ton of my friends in as a startup founders, and they have retail companies. They started as D2C, but now they're going back to physical. And that's a trend I'm seeing in like last 12 to 18 months. And it's just because it's much easier. The consumer behavior is very different in different countries. So I'll say, which market you are in, again, very similar answer, which market you are in and what you're doing, it actually depends. It's how easy or difficult it's going to be to really hyper personalize. If you're in a D2C, it's much easier. And Facebook is actually the way to go. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, that's where your discovery happens for the brand. And if you can figure out the right segments and you can figure out who you are actually giving the ads to, and can do the closed loop marketing, like after they clicked on it, what they really did, you can actually personalize that experience really well. So today, like 60% of the brands I use, it's because of what I discovered on social media.
So I have a follow-up question to you, Shilpi. That's on behalf of all the retailers in US. What do I need to make? What do I need
Me
to
to
do,
come to
right?
shop in store.
To make Shilpi to walk into my retail outlet and make her to spend more money out of my outlet. So what do I need
No,
to do?
don't get me wrong. I still spend money. I still spend money, but in their
Yeah, but
digital.
I would want you to walk into my outlet, right? I want to increase my foot traffic. What do I need to do to get Shilpi walking into my store?
It's a very good question. I think, again, for me, my life cycle is such that I want to save every single minute out of my life. So that's one of the reasons. But I would go for experiences. Absolutely. I'm not going to go for my general shopping aisle to aisle because I love my filters on e-commerce and I can just filter. I can buy it again. I have a ton of features on my digital experience that I don't have to go and do it on the same experience in physical. So I go to physical store if I have a better experience, I have more fun experience, I will absolutely go. I'll go eat out, I'll go shop, and I'll just like I go to Starbucks. I go to Starbucks all the time. That's the only retailer I go to, and that's because of how they have designed their layouts, the experience they give, the smell of the coffee, right? None of that is actually a retail product. A
Yeah, when
supporting
you can
environment.
touch and feel the product, that basically the customers are preference is to go to the store to enjoy that one. So I mean, to increase the foot traffic to any retail store, so there are certain retail companies are coming up with in-store promotions. They are not available in the digital because they want to increase the footstep. Obviously you can create that stickiness and also upsell, cross sell. When you go and walk into the aisle, you will end up with buying more. We all are Costco lovers, right? We go Costco, we go for one product, but when we come out, because of the in-store deals that we have, which is quite opposite than what they offer in the digital, they're more focusing on the in-store experiences and in-store promotions and the pricing. So basically you need to work on your pricing to increase the footstep to the retail stores.
Saidlu,
More
I'm
of
just going to tell you one thing. What you just said, I think I'm an intelligent consumer, and I know when I go physical store, I buy 2x, and half of the things I don't need. And I've seen my buying pattern many times. And that's one of the reasons I stopped going to stores. So, like you have to figure out, like when you're thinking as a retailer, what you just said, you also have to think your consumer is evolving. So you cannot, there is a certain point in time where your strategy will stop working for consumers because it's a diminishing return for them too.
No, absolutely, Shilpi and Saidulu. I think whatever your thoughts, right, you just mentioned, it's going well with the research that we did very recently. So even with the convenience stores, we heard that the Gen Zs are willing to walk into a store, spend time, as long as they get the right experience. And I think you nailed it, right? So if you're able to get what you want, could it be like a small grab and go or a frictionless kind of an experience for you where you don't want to stand in lines or you don't need to worry about the peak hour, store traffic or whatsoever? As long as you walk inside a store, get what you really want and walk out, and if that is what you're looking at, yes, Absolutely. So there is a lot to do with the experience, right? So that at the end of the day, the experience matters. You don't want to walk all the aisles just to buy few products. And you rightly mentioned, like you spend more when you walk inside a store, and that's exactly what retailers want, right? If I were a retailer, I would expect the same from you. And eventually, that is where like we are also having this curbside pickup and all that, right? So though you order like you to make your life easy, what if we get things delivered to your car? There's a lot that even retailers are trying to keep up with the consumer expectations. So one other interesting question that we have from the audience is about the frontline employees. How do we empower them? Empowering the frontline employees in terms of personalizing the consumer experience. So that is easy when it comes to a relationship based model like a convenience store, but when it comes to a larger brands, right, where you don't see that the faces of these employees very often, but in that situation, how do you think that we need to be empowering those employees in order to bring in the right personalized experience? Saidalu and Shilpi, like it's an open question, like any of us can definitely think about it.
I can go first. I know in the food stores and the clothing stores, like where I go most of the time, the personalized experiences I love when I give my, like, first of all, when you're till the time you haven't transacted, it's just hard for a store employee to interact with you because there's no data on you, right?
Mm.
It's till that time, it's all about whatever the store employee has been trained on. The minute they have you swipe the card based on your credit card token, now on your loyalty experience, now the information is there. The PO be smarter. And I've seen some retailers having really smart POS where they'll go by your name and they'll say, "Oh, last time you bought this and we saw you return it. Did you not like it? What happened?" Like they just spark the conversation based on what has happened recently. And I've seen that in the return counters a lot in clothing where they actually are able to spark the conversation about wrong, and you have been, "Oh, you haven't bought things lately and we have a new range coming in." So I think there's a lot that can be trained depending on, you need to understand as a retailer what are the touch points in store for your customer, and at that touch points have you given your retail store employees the powerful information that they need. And if they don't have that information at that point in time, it'll be very vanilla in conversation, right? So I think it's totally up to retailer, where do they want to see that information exchange, and they would have to give some sort of a tool or information to their employees.
That's perfect. And Saidalu, like I have a follow-up question on this, right? When Shilpi was talking about capturing those like instances when a customer, for example, it's for return, right? There could be other micro moments inside a store, right? Like how do we create and track such micro moments inside a store as the customer walks in, and how do we leverage that in order to personalize the experience? So any thoughts on this, Saidalu?
Yeah, sure. So each click and watch, each interaction, whatever he is doing in the store is relevant for us. We need to know what he is doing and how he is doing, and then either it could be in the store or the digital. And then when you collect all these micro movements of that customer behavior, you would be able to tell a compelling story that what he is liking, what he is not liking, and then it all these movements are going to help us to basically create that stickiness and lifetime value of the customer, right? So I think the customer churn is very high, especially in the retail, because the competition is very high. And then how do we create that stickiness, and then making sure this customer is coming to us repetitively is based on that micro movements, and then use those micro movements for intelligent and contextualized marketing. It could be an email follow-up after you buy the product. "Hey, you recently bought a product, you want to review, or how are you doing it?" Basically follow 30, 60, 90 days plan, and then making sure customer is monetizing that product so that he would feel, "Oh, this brand cares for me. So since I spend money with this retailer, he want to ensure I am monetizing that product well." And then he fall in love with that brand. So the UX and CX are very important, are the store experience. So we cannot leave customer aside as soon as you capture that transaction, right, you need to continuously follow up with them. You need to continuously ensure he likes your brand. So that is what the CX falls in. And then again, when you have this multi-channel presence, how do you ensure you are taking care of him in all the aspects when the customer goes into a social media channel? And then how do you create that stickiness with him so that he can see what he wants to see about your brand? So knowing where he is and finding his what his routine is, and basically promoting the personalization at that moment in time.
No, absolutely, Saidalu. I think we have one other follow-up question from one of the participants, right? So they are asking us, like, how do you identify each customer's behavior and implement the personalization effectively? So let's talk about it from an in-store experience standpoint, Shilpi and Saidalu. Like today, we have AI and computer vision taking over, right, in a lot of areas. And we know these cameras have become smart enough to identify a person's behavior. For example, a simple camera can identify the demographic information about me, like where do I belong and what does it, am I a millennial, or am I from a baby boomer group, or from an Gen Z group. And also, like, depending on my facial expression, right, it could be a simple smile, or it could be an hesitation to pick up a product. All this can certainly, can be converted into data, right? And each of these stores today, they are having the heat maps in order to get to know where customer is exactly spending their time and where they are not spending, what time of the day a particular aisle is like completely occupied. And we have that intelligence today. But I would want to hear more, what else could be done, like beyond, what we are looking at computer vision and all that, right? So how do we further personalize, or what do we leverage to make the experience more effective? Any thoughts?
So your question is very tech, like it seems like it's very tech focused. And my disclaimer first is I don't agree with capturing demographics that way and the sentiments that way, but I'll still give you a hypothetical answer there.
Please,
I
Shilpi.
think,
Yeah.
look, the models are there, Prashant, right? So you can have multimodal data coming as images, as structured data, like Saidlu talking about social, web behavior. You have your in-store data. You can have your sentiment coming from the face expression. You can have a lot of other things that you're talking about, like the heat map where this person was. But all of that for one person, and giving that experience in real time, we're talking about a ton of compute power there, right?
Exactly.
So I just want to highlight one thing, that when we think of solutions, these solutions you can do very fast, but what does it take to really deliver in real time? Is it cost effective, and is it
Exactly.
really bringing that incremental lift that the business need from that customer? If that's not the case, as a leader, I will never apply those solutions in store. It's much more cost effective if you do it on an online setting, because you have most of the data mapped out online, right? And then
Right.
you can do kind of like a quick API when an unknown customer shows up on your web or app. You can do dynamic menus based on the day part, weather, location, whatever it is. Or if it is a known customer because I signed in, oh, holy grail, right? That's where I have all the data and I can just serve whatever I want. I can give promotions, I can give the right pricing. But when it comes to building the models, I think that's the easiest part. I think the difficult part is going to be, you build the model, is it scalable, can it deliver in real time for that one customer who's going aisle to aisle, and when will you intercept and how to give that personalization, right? So that it doesn't interrupt my journey as a consumer in the store. Because if you have too much personalization and you are actually interrupting me, I might not like that flow. So you might have done
Absolutely.
everything that you wanted to, but as a consumer, you did not make my experience better.
No, absolutely, Shilpi. 200% agreed, right? All this computer vision based, they might be excellent within a small confined area. Could be like 100 or 200 square feet autonomous store. It makes perfect, but not
It's
like
on
thousands
go,
of.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. That's the area where you can definitely do. And again, one interesting thing I thought is, like, what if you have a mobile device and when you are inside a store, like that is an area where, where you can tie the digital and the physical experiences together, not worrying much or not bothering the customer much, right?
You
So
love retail, Prashant. So I'll say the ideal me, like you said, what will bring Shilpi back? You know what will bring me back if my shelves are intelligent. I think if my
perfect.
shelves are intelligent, my packaging is intelligent. I think that's the future I would look forward to, where I can actually just understand what I'm eating, what is like I don't have to read the labels, like if it is food, right? If it is clothing, if it tells me it tracks everything about the source of the cotton, what's sustainably grown. Like those are the things I crave for. So if someone can give me that on the shelf, I would come.
Absolutely. Yep.
But
I
it's
think it
very
was a
good
great.
question, Prashant. It's I love where you're pushing us to think, but I would love to have that future.
No, sure,
I
sure.
think that's
Also,
a great point. How easily you can find products in a store, right? Online, you just go to search bar and then search for a product. But when you go store, there are 10 aisles, thousands of products, and then you have to walk over. You need to look for the help. It is too cumbersome process. That is also one of the reason why people are not going into the store. So if there is a way that we can tell, hey, I want this, mind map it, and then yes, your product is in aisle A, and then rack one, and then where you can go on then easily find those products. So I think
My
we need to
God.
be innovative.
absolutely,
Sailu has
Sailu.
already mind mapped everything. Oh
Yeah.
my God. I
I'm
love
taking
where
note of
you're going.
everything. I'm taking a note of everything, Shilpi and Saidalu. So I'm trying to create an experience for you. So this is interesting, Saidalu and Shilpi. I think we had a great conversation, right? Like the trip assurance part, as you both mentioned, when a customer is taking time and effort driving all the way to a retail outlet, what if he is disappointed not finding what he wants? That's the heights that we would all want to avoid, right? As a consumer, as a retailer, or whosoever, right? Bringing in the right experience is what we are looking at. I think we had a very good conversation about the different aspects of the store experience, how we can personalize. I think I had a very good learning from you both, and I mean, like, great thoughts. And I think I have a lot to do, like get back to my drawing board and see like what and how I need to do, like, further when it comes to transforming the retail journey. So it was a great session, Saidalu, Amin, and Shilpi. So good insights, great learning. And I assume that everyone who had been a part of this event and did enjoy our conversation. So look forward, connecting with you and meeting you all on a different event and a different occasion. Right.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
opportunity. Really fun talking to
Yeah,
Thank
all of you.
you.
having
Thank you.
us with you guys, and we really enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So, just the concluding lines from AI Core Spot side before we close this. So, I extend my gratitude to Hemant for the excellent moderation of today's session. And a big thank you goes to all our speakers, actually Saidulu, Amin, and Shilpi, for your lovely insights and contributions to this discussion on the hyper personalization on the retail industry side. So, I'm confident that all attendees would have found it to be very engaging, enlightening, and got some takeaways from these conversations. As we wrap up, I would like to take a moment to recognize and thank our community partners, speakers, and all our attendees for their ongoing support and participation over the past 3 years. Your involvement has played a crucial role in creating an environment conducive to knowledge sharing and the knowledge enrichment. The insights shared by all our panel members throughout were truly exceptional. We appreciate the collaborative spirit and expertise to come together and do the needful. For those who have missed any part of today's session or want to revisit it, the recording will be available on our company's YouTube page for your convenience. Looking ahead, we are excited about the promising technological advancements that lies ahead in the coming months. At AI Core Spot, we have a diverse line of events planned across various sectors, including banking, financial, telecom, retail, supply chain, manufacturing, healthcare, and much more. We encourage you to stay connected with us for ongoing learning opportunities and updates on the latest technological advancements. You can find a wealth of knowledge, including details, announcement about next events, registration assistance on our website and social media channels. Your support is invaluable to us, so please consider liking our content within your networks. Special mention to InfoVision, who is our esteemed knowledge and innovation partner, and Digit7, who is our technology partner, for their unwavering support and collaboration. Be sure to explore their websites to dive deeper into the world of technological advancements. We thoroughly enjoyed hosting this session and hope you found it as enriching as we did. Look forward to continuing our journey together, bringing you more insightful sessions in the near future. Until then, take care. Thank you once again for your participation and support, all of you. Have a great day and a nice weekend ahead. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The webinar has ended. Thank you for joining. Goodbye.